Good morning, and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. I am your host, Shennel, Felix, and this morning we continue our interesting conversations by chatting with the technical advisor at the Division of Education, Research and Technology, Ms. Natasha.
The nation and to the world.
Well, we saw very recently or an event took place at the Magdalena Grand Hotel where the Minister for Youth Development here in Tobago talking about a number of the development projects that we that they would like to collaborate with Tobago. Can you give us some more insight on exactly what that event was and what came out from that?
Sure. So that was the launch of the Amplify program and the PLAR, P-L-A-R platform that the Division of Education, Research and Technology, along with the Division of Community Development, Youth Development and Sport, and the Ministry of Youth Development and National Services would have been partnering together, building a relationship for youth development. So that would have been the culminating event for the launch for Tobago. So Amplify is a program that is meant to certify young people in life skills training, such as music. So persons would have a number of talents and gifts and the ability to do a number of business enterprises, but they don't have certification. So a platform was created that allows young people to access training towards certification, where they could work as interns and get the necessary experience to actually become employable, both locally, regionally, and internationally. So Amplify means a music production and life skills initiative for youths. What we have as Tobagonians is the opportunity for 175 young people to participate in that program. So I'm here to encourage all young people to access that. You can do that through chatting with the director of sport at the Division of Community Development, Youth Development and Sport. Speak to Ms. Anne-Marie Degazon. You can go onto our websites or go onto the Ministry of Youth's website and get access to the information. So 175 young people will have that opportunity, at the end of which you do get certified and you have the opportunity to work with very legitimate organizations as interns. So that's one of the very successful partnerships that we would have built.
So in regards to the Amplify platform, this was a platform that was created by the Ministry of Youth Development and okay. So is it that the program, the training is online, and after being certified, individuals would have access to paid internships?
Yes. So yes and yes. So Minister Foster Cummins tends to have a good working relationship with quite a few of the divisions in the Tobago House of Assembly. And the partnerships and the relationships have been built well, so that whatever he establishes for youths in Trinidad, there is the avenue for us to access for young people in Tobago. He had an agriculture program that was launched recently where they have homesteads where persons get access to land and so on. So some young people from Tobago have been able to access that. Yes, it is an online program. You can access various levels of skills development opportunities. And once you have access to those, you get certification and you do have opportunities to work with very top of the line mainstream companies and get yourself out there so that you have the opportunities for personal development and economic development. Another program that we had a good relationship with in the same ministry was under the MILAT program. MILAT is a military-led academic development program for young men from ages 16 to 20. And Major Benjamin would have been coming back and forth in Tobago and liaising with the Division of Education, Research and Technology, so that we're looking to house young people from Tobago right here in Tobago. It's a day program, so they actually are domiciled, and they develop two elements: character development and academic certification. We would have seen in the Independence Day parade recently at Scarborough a number of those young men marching and so on. And some of them tend to have had a little bit of trouble. And so the program with all of these military personnel, helped them and will continue to help young people to develop the right kind of personalities to maneuver in this life.
Right. So does the MyLab program help young men transition into the national services, such as, the police service, Defense Force, Coast Guard, Air Guard?
That is one of the hallmarks of the program, actually. They develop that sense of that military discipline, they develop that sense of character and that sense of bonding. And they recently made a call for graduates of the program to come back and to create a skills bank so that they have the ability to transition them into that kind of employment. So any young person interested in those kinds of fields should reach out.
Right. So in terms of PLA, which is the Priority Learning Assessment and Recognition, tell us a bit more about that, because the Amplified is built into that program, right?
Right. So if any young person or any persons who help young people are interested, you go onto the Ministries website, and you can go onto the website at Community Development as well, and you will have access through the drop-down boxes to the PLAR. That is going to allow you to register, to explore all of the different opportunities and the different subject areas that you can participate in, whether it's music, culinary arts, whatever, barbering, etc. And all of these various multi-skills, you get the opportunities to register online, enroll for X number of hours of classes, matriculate naturally from one point to the next, and graduate.
All right. Is there an age limit on this program?
Well, it's a youth program. Youth goes up to 35 in our books. But education, the Division of Education is also involved, because it can come all the way down a little 15, 16, and so on. And we have the majority of those young people as well. We would have supported these programs because they align really well with our policies for youth development in terms of non-traditional types of education and non-traditional types of fields. We are looking at the Tobago-centric curriculum to sort of compete with those not so savory persons who are after the interests of our young people. We want them to be not so interested in gangs and violence and other forms of earning income or having a sense of belonging. We want them to have a sense of belonging that is positive and that could lead to their overall development in the long term. Some partnerships don't work out as well. These were two successful ones. We were supposed to enroll IT access centers in Tobago through partnering with us, the Division of Education and the Division of Transformation, Digital Transformation. That hasn't really worked out so well. The ICT centers have been set up in Trinidad. We've had a number of site visits in Tobago, but we haven't actually been able to open those sites in Tobago. So there's more work needs to be done there. But I want to celebrate those partnerships that do work and encourage young people, access whatever is available in Tobago, access whatever is available online, access through the ministries, etc. Go through the budget, see what's there for you, and access it.
Right. And the aspect of it that allows for entry into internship programs, have businesses in Tobago come on board with that, or would persons be matriculated into the public sector? Because for a lot of it, it's, TVET courses, and, it's highly unlikely that someone who would have done, let's say, maybe, beauty and beauty culture would get to do an internship in the THA. So have private entities come on board to allow these young persons to smoothly transition into work after the program has finished.
So that relationship is still being built. But there are a number of vacancies in the public sector along the lines of TVET, special needs, early childhood, and so on. There are some very specific areas that we have a dearth in Tobago. For instance, at the secondary level, there's a serious challenge getting teachers for EDPM. So we need to encourage the young people to get those kinds of opportunities for internship. So Right now, the ones that are established are all the major ones in Trinidad that have been established for a long time, but we will welcome the local business community, the private sector on board as well, especially in fields related to tourism and in education as well, because we do have a dearth.
All right, excellent. Now we're going to take a quick break right here. We're going to ask you to stay tuned, stay with us, and add your comments and add to the discussion. Ask any questions that you would like to ask the technical advisor for the Division of Education. And we'll be back soon right after this, and I will be sure to ask questions on your behalf. See you soon. Good morning, Tobago, right here on Tobago Updates. I do look forward to you guys engaging in this conversation with us this morning as you add your comments. Now, we've been chatting with the technical advisor for the Division of Education, Research and Technology, and we're talking all things youth, all things TVET, and the partnership between the Tobago House of Assembly and the the Ministry of Youth Development. Now, this platform, the Amplify platform, in connection with the PLA program, allows for young persons to go online, get certified in different areas and then become matriculated into different internships and other employment opportunities. Now, this, as you indicated before, aligns with the division's mandate to move forward in building those strong connections to certify young persons in Tobago. What are some of the other programs and projects for youth development that you guys have been working on?
All right. Just before I answer that, I just wanted to mention some of the programs that are under the Amplify, just to attract their attention. Digital photography, introduction to video production, introduction to graphic design, voice training, singing, stage presentation, voice presentation, and life skills. Right. So sports in education is a big field for us. We know that for the last 2 Olympics, we haven't really performed exceptionally well as a nation, but Tobago has tremendous promise in all areas of sport. We have been trumping national competitions in netball, football, athletics. So we have something really good there. So what we're trying to do is ensure that the Division of Education works along with the Division of Community Development, Youth Development and Sport to harness that talent and to structure that talent in a way that we can continue our youth development beyond the school age. So we have youth development. We have professional development for young persons in terms of those fields that we are lacking in, like the early childhood care and education field. We need more persons to have certification, valid certification in CSEC Mathematics and English. And so we are doing some proficiency development exams that will help persons to naturally move from a state where they're not qualified in terms of math and English to a state where they can become qualified and be able to naturally be part of a professional program like the early childhood education. Special needs programs, we want persons to be able to train and develop and get internships for teachers' aides, student aides, etc. TVET, we want to encourage persons through YTEP programs, etc. and to have that kind of opportunity through the CVQ programs in the secondary schools and even younger to expose persons to TVET as a natural and logical and attractive option in the schools rather than just as a section for the persons who people think are not academically, inclined. So we have systems for training and development, systems to encourage persons to get into internships so that they're gainfully employed. Just for the summer period there, we had a lot of persons working in the education sector, doing a lot of first-hand work, getting their first-hand experience in the job.
Right, but what about those persons who say, I've been looking for a job, I need a job, I'm here in Tobago, but still nothing. Who can they reach out to, specifically those young persons between the age of 18 to 35?
You can always check with the HR section. A number of job opportunities have been advertised over the last year or so. I mentioned qualification. Plenty of people who are applying for jobs do not have CSEC mathematics, or they do not have CSEC English, or they do not have whatever the requisite is for the particular job that they're applying for. Make sure you do your research. Come and sit and chat with HR personnel at any division. You walk in and you have a conversation about what is available, show them your qualifications, and track the websites to see what is available, because a number of things are available, but you may need to redirect your path in terms of what you are educating yourself for. You know, you need to pay a little bit more attention with the career development programs and so on to know what is actually available. And look at the more modern options, media, digital production, live streaming, YouTubing, those kind of things. Look for things that are modern, trending. Look beyond your shores. Look online in the meantime.
Right, but there is a Department of Labor here in Tobago that is kind of responsible for having those vacancies, but yet we don't see it being updated frequently enough and having all those available jobs there. Are there any efforts being made to collaborate to ensure that the jobs being posted are up to date for persons?
Actually, that is happening right now. The divisions are coordinating with the administrators and the senior human resource officers to gather all of the existing vacancies in the public sector, but there's a difference between the public servant and the contracted public servant. So, and to have a sense of what kinds of skills are needed for the Tobagonian to work over the next 10 years, over the next 20 years. What kinds of skills would people need, and what kinds of qualifications would they need to fill those jobs? So that is being collated right now, because it is going to guide programs like the scholarship program at the division, DATAS, that is going to help people to be sponsored in terms of getting their education, but we want to target it towards those areas where we have a challenge, where we have a dearth, where we need more persons.
Excellent. So when it comes to the allocation that was given for this fiscal 2024-2025, are you able at this time to tell us exactly what was allocated to the Division of Education?
No, I'm not able to do that. We do know that overall the DP was dropped from 260 million to 205 million. So that will lead to, at least in the DP for education, a $2 to $3 million drop compared to what we had last year. And DP is what you use for all of your additional programs, your netball, your sports, various sporting activities, your remedial programs, your internships, building of early childhood centers that are needed, because we do not have the space, since we have some burgeoning communities. People literally do not have space to put their early childhood age child to get educated. So those are the kinds of things that will be negatively impacted for education. So in that reprioritization and so on, we would not be able to, as any good parents and leaders, just rely on what has been donated by the state to Tobago. We have to ensure that our people have the opportunity to advance. Human capacity building is what makes a country capable of functioning and surviving really well. So we will have to look for different sources of income to ensure that our young people, our children, our families have the kind of opportunities for human capacity development as, that are needed, because clearly that is being stifled with the current construct, and we will not be able to allow our young people to not develop. That's not an option. Right?
Excellent. And so there is the theme of having to cut and contrive, and as you said, there are areas that you would now have to reassess and cut back on, not just in some of the things that you would have requested for this year, but things that were already happening that may not be able to happen again because of the fact that your DP is now less. We have areas such as the DATAS grant that is given for tertiary level students. So how do we maneuver wanting to send our kids abroad to study or even just to Trinidad or within the region when there is such a drastic fall in what we are able to distribute among Tobago's youths?
So that is the broader conversation that all of Tobago needs to begin to have. It's not going to be sufficient for the Tobago House of Assembly policymakers and the administrators to just sit with the technocrats and decide exactly how we're going to reprioritize. A little bit of consultation with the people, a little bit of education of the masses for them to understand that this is what this drop means. This is what it means in terms of jobs, in terms of the opportunity to hire persons who are qualified, in terms of the ability to pay gratuities and increments, in terms of the ability to assist persons with housing, etc. This is the actual meaning. Then you're going to be faced with things like property tax and various taxes, etc. What does that mean to Tobagonians, and what would you like to prioritize as we go forward? Because as a people, we have to move the argument towards what is in our best interest and how we can develop socially, economically, etc. as a people. We have to understand that the relationship of just being offered smaller and smaller amounts of money for our development has meaning. It has meaning for social development. It has meaning for economic development. And we have to decide together what it is we want.
Excellent. And even some of the plans that you have made, that you have promised Tobago, we're leading up to an election year. How does this administration and the Division of Education deliver to the people of Tobago while being in a deficit?
You see, that is the quality of the Tobagonian that I think is not understood by the central government. We will find a way. It seems to be a master stroke in terms of the chess, in terms of increasing the recurrent, just to match natural increases which you already have. You increased salaries for teachers and public servants, so you're simply just paying that increase. You have given nothing new. So persons' gratuities, increments, etc. cannot be paid. You have decreased by $55 million or more the development fund. So you are deliberately crippling the ability of the THA to deliver. But we are a brilliant people. We are talented. We are patient. We understand the place of anger, selfless, righteous indignation. We understand the place of that. But we also understand patience. And we know how to work together as a family to advance ourselves as one unit. So we are going to work it out, and we are going to look at wastage. We're going to look at investments. We are going to deliver because we are intelligent. We know that it is important to deliver in an election year. So we are going to trump the actions of central government because we are equally intelligent. There's absolutely nothing wrong with us, not our color, not our class. Nothing about us is less important than anybody in Trinidad or in central government. So we are equally intelligent, we are equally strategic, and we will continue to do well.
What role would the diaspora play in helping Tobago to, forward its development agenda now that what has been requested has not been given yet again?
Brilliant and critical. The diaspora is what will need to uplift Tobago. It is our Tobago-ness that will help us to trump this very blatant act towards our underdevelopment. So the diaspora must be also educated as we go around educating our people here, and they have to understand how they can help us. And we have always done so. You had a child who is going off to New York or going off to somewhere in England to study. Family members, non-family members, people who just lived in the village were taking the child, help the child for the first year, etc. Whether you're related or not, Tobago is accustomed to that nice like a harvest culture. And we are going to help each other. We have a number of intellectuals, number of skilled persons all over the world, and we're going to pool our resources. We're going to ensure that our education does not suffer, our social sector does not suffer, and we're going to ensure that all of the opportunities that are available, whether they are through the ministries or the THA, we will access and we will vote for Tobago when the time comes for voting, because we need to vote for Tobago.
There's the argument that although this is the allocation for Tobago, there's allocations that have been made to the specific ministries that have a direct impact on what happens in Tobago. So how do you respond to that when, let's say, for instance, the Ministry of Education has been allocated 7.512 billion? How do you respond to that?
I respond to that by saying that our technocrats have to have the tenacity and the commitment to advocate for our share of the pie with every vote. If you're having a national program, then we need to be at the table. And we would have done that. We would have reached out when we did the online policy. We reached out to the necessary persons, Dr. Smith, CEO in the Ministry of Education. We took our technocrats down there, we built our relationship, and we worked together. We would have identified that it's not fair for us to have a national program and resources only be assigned for Trinidad. When the ministry launched the Adopt a School program, at that point I was there as one of the representatives, and I raised my hand and I said, what's the portion allotted for Tobagonians, since it's a national program? And in response to that, we created our own Secretary's Brunch program, where we invited business communities from all over the world to help us. The point is, whatever exists nationally, there must be either a line item, a vote, or some kind of relationship where our voice is on the table so that we can present the position for our young people, our teachers, our practitioners here. We have to be at every table, and we have to have access to whatever funding is available if it's a national program. But that would take some courage on the part of the persons like technical advisors. You have to just pursue it. The money is there. They're not lying with that. There is money and there are resources, but you have to access it by constantly reminding persons, this is supposed to be shared with us. If we have a remedial program that is linked to COVID, it can't just be for Trinidad. You can't spend $10 million there and none in Tobago, because the children had the same experience going through the COVID pandemic, no? So whatever funding you have available there, whether it's laptop resources, whatever, we must have it here. If we have new policies related to early childhood development and special needs, whatever you have nationally, whatever vote you have created, there's actually a group of teachers coming on board called substitute teachers. You can't just say that we're going to have new substitute teachers and not create a line item that sends money across to Tobago for us to hire substitute teachers. So when you raise the issue of the policy being that we are taking on substitute teachers, or that we are taking Venezuelan women, children, etc., into our education sector, there must be resources that come with that. That is a normal humanitarian response. And so Tobagonians, who are very strong in character, will just have to agitate for what is ours for every sector.
So that has not been happening in the past?
In some senses, it wasn't. Because I remember the CEO, Dr. Smith, saying, in his entire time at the ministry, he has never had anybody across on this side of the water reach out so persistently as I did with my team, for us to have that kind of dialogue and that kind of partnership and insisting that we're on the table. So I don't know what was happening in the past, but it is a logical thing for us to do, and it is the necessary thing for us to do.
So do you think with this restraint in resources, this would be a mechanism adopted by other divisions to ensure that they are able to benefit from those programs that are deemed national?
It must be, it has to be, because there is funding there. We remember that Ministry of Finance promised to build our Scarborough Sec. I didn't hear Scarborough Sec at all. I listened to the entire 6-hour presentation. I didn't hear the word Scarborough Secondary School at all. And I've checked to see if I missed it, if I blinked or if I was having a little snack. But nobody is telling me that they heard the word Scarborough Sec. So they're supposed to build a $300 million school, Scarborough Sec. Agriculture, there are a number of programs there that involve national development. Secretary Charles Pantin is really excellent at partnering with those persons in Trinidad in terms of the Ministry of Agriculture, housing, etc. We have to tap into the resources that are there, that are available for national development. And we have to ensure that our technocrats, who are not politicians, have that conversation and keep the conversation going and get what we need.
Right. So are you saying that one of the most important things to do or strategies to utilize moving forward is to get the technocrat to technocrat discussion happening at the division and ministry level, as opposed to solely depending on the minister and the secretaries to have that conversation?
Of course, because you will have that original bridging happening at that policy level. But the technocrats naturally interact, and the public servants naturally interact with various programs. So we want to ensure that the protocol officers, the technical advisors, the administrators in education, the school supervisors, the directors, have that relationship building with the public servants, because we're just people at the end of the day. And if we have relationships, you get to find out about opportunities and you get to access things for your people.
Excellent. And as we round up this morning's discussions, is there anything that you want to close with, or in addition to allowing Tobago young persons and encouraging them to be a part of that Amplify platform, is there anything else you want to mention?
Yes, I would like to say that we all need to, as Tobagonians, examine every opportunity that is available. Go through that budget with a fine-tooth comb. See what is available for you as an employee. See what is available for you as a young person. Apply for everything that you qualify for. Do not assume that somebody else is going to get it because of their relationships or their status or whatever. Assume the best for yourself. Every single opportunity, every single resource that is available, you apply for it. You take your time, you go through the rigors of the application process, and you make yourself available and a valid candidate for every opportunity. Get every exemption that you can get from the system, and understand where all of the opportunities lie. Read, study the budget, get what you have to get from it. We must caucus as a Tobagonian people and make the best choices for Tobago.
All right, thank you so much. We want to thank each and every one of you who have stuck with us throughout the discussion, who have had your likes, your shares, and your comments. And thank you so much for everything that you have been doing to make Tobago Updates the #1 broadcaster here on the island of Tobago. So again, thank you so much for joining the discourse this morning. Have a great day.